He turned a simple SEO service into a $70 million business and rebuilt the agency model into something that actually scales.
We can easily take on double the amount of work, and it's just because we built a system where we could decentralize the work. Very quickly, we built some software which handled all this for us.
Today's guest is Joe Davies, founder of FatJoe, a productized SEO platform doing $15 million a year in revenue, trusted by thousands of agencies and in-house teams around the world.
FatJoe was the thing that we needed. So we needed an outsourced provider, we needed a link provider, content provider, we needed something reliable, consistent.
In this episode, we unpack why Joe stopped thinking like an agency and rebuilt FatJoe as an e-com store selling digital products and services.
FatJoe's definitely had some identity crisis. We didn't know what we were for a while. We did start out as like an agency. We are definitely an e-com store because of the way that we sell, the way that we deliver, we're just selling like digital product.
Why FatJoe chose to serve agencies instead of end clients, and how that unlocked cleaner margins and simpler delivery.
We never thought about end clients, and only because we just wanted to deliver links or content to agencies. It meant that we could do no consulting. It just meant that we could sell units of work.
How selling units of work, not retainers or consulting, made costs predictable and operations scalable.
We paid for a unit of work. Our costs were very predictable. Instead of paying someone hourly and we don't know really how much work they've done in a day, we could pay per unit of work. That becomes a cost of goods of the service. It's exactly like an e-com store would work.
And how a no sales call, no negotiation checkout still drives 70% plus repeat monthly purchases.
We get about 70% of customers repeat every month. Because anyone can come in and order a service, hire a number of people just trying it once and then not coming back because it's just such a low barrier to entry. If you remove those guys, the 70% might be a bit higher.
So if you want to understand how to turn services into a scalable, defensible platform without bloated teams or constant client management, this is the episode for you. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, mate.
I want to kick off with your agency name. So you're called FatJoe.
Yes.
Are you was that based on rap music or no?
No, so we'd never heard of the rapper called FatJoe, and I'm not into rap music, so it was complete coincidence, and actually it was just based from completely randomly. We were looking through gangster names just in some weird book, and one of them was like Fat Tony, and then one of them was FatJoe, and then my co-founder's also called Joe, so we just kind of said, okay, let's just use that name. We weren't really thinking too seriously about it, and yeah, it just stuck. So,
has it helped you at all from an SEO perspective?
It's really not helped us at all, because every time someone puts our brand name in, they get in FatJoe's new song and new single and all that. We get loads of clicks on Google Ads, which are just people after the rapper. We get loads of emails, people asking us if they can send us their mixtape. So, yeah, it's not helped us at all.
Okay. And then I guess my next question is, I know things started off differently. You've been doing this for, over a decade now. As of today, 2026, would you describe FatJoe as, a SaaS store, marketplace, or kind of agency, and why?
I'll definitely describe it as an e-com store. FatJoe's definitely had some identity crisis where we didn't know what we were for a while. We did start out as like an agency, and then we thought we was kind of like a SaaS because it was very software led. And then some people kind of called us like the premium Fiverr because we had a lot of different services. So it was a bit like a marketplace. But now I've rested on the fact that we are definitely an e-com store because of the way that we sell, the way that we deliver, we're just selling like digital products.
Okay. Can you talk me through that kind of evolution from how you started to when you made that transition to e-com?
Yeah. So when we started, we were kind of like, we were acting like a traditional agency. We had our in-house team trying to do all the work. But when we got to maybe like 20, 30 clients, we realized that we had to change our process. Otherwise we were going to break. Always going to have to keep hiring loads and loads of people. So we decided that we had to go a route where we could decentralize all the work. So an order comes in and it could be done by many, many freelancers. So with that, we needed strict SOPs, we needed strict hiring and onboarding processes. And we got to the point where we could hire, like today now, we can hire 10 new writers tomorrow and we can have them onboarded and working by the end of the week. We can easily take on double the amount of work and not have to increase our overheads. And it's just because we built a system where we could decentralize the work. And we were doing that through Google Sheets to begin with, like very, very primitive stuff. But very quickly we built some software which handled all this for us.
Okay. And was there a specific kind of moment or period of time where you're like, it's not possible to get past this kind of 20, 30 client kind of ceiling? And what kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, I think it was just when we realized there weren't enough hours in the day to complete all of the work. So we were going to be late on some orders. And then as everything happened in FatJoe, like it kind of organically, it became a decision that organically happened where I just jumped on Upwork, I think it was, and I was looking for an outreach person or a writer. And I realized, hey, why don't we just hire 20 of these and have them on our roster, and when we need them, we can use them. And that was good as well because we paid for a unit of work, so it meant our costs were very predictable. Instead of paying someone hourly, and we don't know really how much work they've done in a day, we could pay per unit of work. That becomes a cost of goods of the service. It's exactly like an e-com store would work.
Okay, so you almost kind of started off constrained on the fulfillment side.
Yeah.
And fixing that problem led you to this, but then it's kind of almost benefited you to productize the service after the fact. Is that the way around it kind of went?
Yeah, I mean, we were selling productized from the very start, naturally, because we weren't selling any contracts or anything like that. We were selling, okay, we sell links or we sell content. But the way that we were doing it initially wasn't productized. It was kind of like by the hour. So we were trying to scale by hours, and the only way you can scale by hours is by people. So instead, we had to flip it around, and we had to buy units of work and resell them. That's the way I look at it.
Can you talk to me then about the decision to productize the service? What was the kind of thought process there?
So coming from a traditional agency background, everything was very ambiguous, and I hated that. So, we'd sit in client meetings, and it would be kind of like, what do you want? And they're kind of like, what do you offer? And I'm like, well, we do this. And then they're like, well, can you do it cheaper? And we're like, yeah, maybe. So it was kind of like a very ambiguous discussion, and we ended up with this very, very custom retainer and custom work. And I had to develop new processes for every client, new knowledge for every client. I had to think about, okay, this is a client that wants this, but not this, and wants a bit more of this, but not that. So it became very frustrating to me, and I thought there's got to be a better way. And the biggest inspiration to me was like McDonald's. It's like you go to McDonald's and you just go in and you pick what you want. You can customize it if you want, and you get it. And then whichever McDonald's you go to, whoever's serving you, whoever's making the burger, they're all going to make it exactly the same way. And that really like struck a chord with me that can be done with services, that can be done with SEO, that can be done with link building, that can be done with content. No matter who the writer is, no matter who the link builder is, no matter who the person is who's on the phone, talking about FatJoe, they're going to explain it and sell it in the same way. So it just became an obvious decision when I started my own agency or store.
Okay. But why was that kind of the decision? Is it because you didn't want to be, stuck doing all this custom work and you thought that would lead to a ceiling? Like, what was the thought process behind choosing the McDonald's route?
Yeah, because it doesn't scale. So traditional agencies, that they can be very, very profitable, and they can be very premium and big. There are cases where it works. I'm sure like WebFX do very well, and I'm sure they do lots of custom contracts. Neil Patel's agency, I'm sure they do lots of custom stuff. But I think for the majority of people, or the majority of agencies and businesses, they'll really benefit from a productized process because it'll just scale a lot easier.
Okay. I've also heard you called kind of the agency for agencies in the SEO space. Can you just talk to the type of clients or ICP that you serve?
Yeah, so when I worked at a traditional agency, FatJoe was the thing that we needed. So we needed an outsourced provider. We needed a a link provider, content provider. We needed something reliable, consistent. So naturally, when we started FatJoe out of this pain point, our ICP was naturally for other agencies because we knew that other agencies would want this. We never thought about end clients, and only because we didn't want to sit there and have to sell them on links or content or a strategy. We just wanted to deliver links or content to agencies. It meant that we could do no consulting. It just meant that we could sell units of work.
Okay. Has that changed over time, and do you now kind of have a substantial share of end clients, or is it still kind of agency focus?
So by accident, we've actually attracted some very savvy business owners who realize, they know SEO, or they are very familiar with what they need. So they can skip the middleman and they can go straight to someone like FatJoe. It's quite rare. It makes up about 10% of our client base. But we do have some like marketing manager or head of marketing. So they very much know what they need. They've got their own campaigns. They don't need a full service SEO agency. They just need the deliverables to help them with their campaigns.
And what is the benefit for them of kind of coming to you rather than, building that capability in-house?
So I think it's flexibility for a start. So they don't have to like be vulnerable and hire like a team of 4 or 5 SEO people. And then they don't know if the work's going to always be there. When they get busier, they've got to hire again and hire again. It becomes a very vulnerable position, and it's quite inflexible to have that all in-house. Secondly, they've got to train them all. So, of course, they might be hiring SEOs, but if they're in an area where there's not many SEOs, it's going to be hard to like find the talent, train them, get them all built into the SOPs and systems that they've built. Third of all, there's economies of scale. So if a company's got their own SEO team, they're going to be doing work, building links, getting content, building contacts, but they won't have the leverage that someone like FatJoe has got, where we're actually working with lots and lots of publishers, content writers, link builders, but we're doing it over and over again at scale. So we can actually negotiate better prices with whoever we're working with because we're doing it at such volume, which means we do it cheaper, we do it faster. So I think that those are the 3 main reasons.
Okay. As an agency, we've done some white label stuff. And one thing I've always struggled with is kind of pricing and maintaining margins. Has that been an issue for you? And how do you kind of maintain a premium price point?
Yeah, so we do have to be low in our prices. So we don't think we're the cheapest, but we're definitely quite low. We're competitive enough that an agency can like resell us at a good rate, especially within their wider retainers. But in terms of like white labeling, because we sell everything by the unit and we do sell some packages, but most of our white label services are just by the unit. So agencies can buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 100 or 5. They can mark up the price to whatever they want. They can bundle it in with whatever they want. So we never have any issues with kind of with their margins, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And do you have kind of a recommendation for, obviously you want to leave some fat on the bone for these guys that are selling you on? Is there like a percentage kind of on top of what your package is that you kind of recommend to those guys?
I think it depends what else they're doing, because we're not really designed for like for like selling. So people who just want to sell links and they buy FatJoe links and then, link arbitrage, we could call it, where someone's just literally built a store like FatJoe, but they marked up the prices by 20, 50% or whatever. That does happen. And, we know some resellers that are doing very well out of that. But what we're mainly designed for are agencies that are doing a lot of other things, such as consulting, reporting, tech SEO, strategy, account management. Maybe they're doing their own bits of links and digital PR with it as well. So then when you mix in our links into that big, into that big pot of service, you can't really measure how much margin they put on top of the links, because it gets baked into their retainer. But a very, very quick estimate would be like 50 to 100 to 200% on our links would be not unheard of.
Okay, wow. In terms of what you're selling and kind of going back to the package point, are you kind of like selling components and people pick like a bunch of things to kind of buy from you and then include that in one package? Is that how it works from the agency side?
Yeah. So the way I look at us is that we're wholesalers. So we don't build the house. We sell the bricks and we sell the window frames and the roof tiles, and you build the pretty house however you want to build it, however much you want to sell it for, but we're just going to sell you the components. So yeah, wholesaler is the way I kind of look at it.
Okay. And can you just walk me through that process of, let's say on a, full stack agency, I come to you, I've come in your funnel. Maybe I know what I want. Maybe I could be kind of upsold some other stuff, but what does that process look like of coming in the door to, getting work delivered?
Yeah. So, the main thing you would do is obviously you can go to our service page and look through the services. Most people are interested in link building or content, picking the service that you like, picking the option that you like, the quantity that you like, and then you click order. And then basically on the next page, after you've made a payment, you put in your inputs whenever you want. And then once your inputs are in, there's a 15 or 30 day turnaround time, depending on what speed delivery you choose. If you're not sure what you want as well, there is an option where you can call one of our client success team, and they will walk you through, what you need or what you might not need, or tell you it's not for you if that's the case.
Okay. And then, I do want to come back to this kind of concierge service that you have on the front end. Yep. But in terms of the delivery, let's say, I've got that package, 15-day turnaround time. Am I interacting with people at all in that process, like account managers, or what is the setup?
No. So we always say that if a customer or if a client contacts us or wants to contact us, we've failed. We've failed of what FatJoe is. So there should be no contact from the visitor before they're a client coming onto the website. The website should do all of the selling, tell the customer what it is, examples, case studies, reviews, the price, the turnaround, everything, example reports, how to pay, what happens after the pay. It should all be explained. They buy it. They shouldn't have to then call and say, where's my order, where's my delivery, because we told them a delivery date. It shouldn't be late, but if it is late, there's an email that goes out to say, hey, we're running a little bit late, expect this tomorrow or in 2 days or whatever. So yeah, if we do get a message from a client saying, what's this service, we don't get it, we think we failed, so we have to go back to the website. We have to see what bit are we missing, and it doesn't matter if the service is £40 for a piece of content or 10 grand for a digital PR service. We want customers to come on the website and not speak to us at all. Just order it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's ever such a thing of over productizing something and you're kind of maybe losing out in terms of customer service? So yeah, are customers getting annoyed that there's no kind of custom work or close relationship with someone to talk to?
I think there could be, yeah. It depends on your positioning and who you're trying to be. I don't think we could do this if we were serving, end clients, business owners. We couldn't do this because they will have a lot more questions. But because we're a wholesaler and we're selling bricks to the people who build houses, there should be a very easy straight line between I need this and getting it delivered. Just like any person in trade, they're ordering their materials. They're not going to need to have a sit down, and they're not going to need to get sold on anything. They're just picking what they need, the quantities, and they get it. So I think there is a case of over productizing, but it depends on the ICP.
Yeah.
And I think it's a balance.
Okay, so because you've got a sophisticated ICP, they know what to do. They've probably done this with you before, and it's less of an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then I think it's in terms of that process of buying from you. Would you say that's like an e-com store, or is it kind of like the dashboard and the SaaS? Because I've seen different things when I was kind of doing my research for this.
Yeah, it's there is a mix really. I would just call it an e-com store because all the customer really is doing is configuring their order in the back end. There's no like clever thing for them. It's not like doing anything of value. They're just giving us the inputs that we need to fulfill the order. Now, on our side of the dashboard, we do have some automations. We do have some clever, parts of the system where freelancers are coming in, fulfilling the work. So you could call that side of it a SaaS, but I think from the customer side, it is just an e-com process.
Okay. Is it kind of e-com front end, and then once you've kind of purchased, you're going into a dashboard and then more like a SaaS interface? Is that the case?
Yeah, I would say so. But again, for the customer, the only reason they'll ever go into that dashboard is to either order or to retrieve an order, and that's all they do.
Okay. And then I think kind of going back to the different types of agencies. Do you think it's possible to almost have two different products or serve two different masters where you have, an element of what you do, which is, like this productized, pay per article, pay for leads, etc. And then kind of like an upsell to a more traditional kind of agency retainer model, custom work under the same roof, or do you just think that's a recipe for hell almost?
I think you can do that. And I know, there are a few companies that do that as well. For us, it's just a very pure decision of like, we just don't like that side of the business. We don't like the traditional strategy, phone calls, trying to, convince people that this is the right move and convince people to spend more or to try this strategy or to try that strategy. It just feels like the wrong kind of business for us. Where with our productized side of the business, I think there's enough market to go after.
Yeah.
For us to even double, triple, quadruple in the next 10 years. So I think we're quite happy with that. But yeah, there's no reason why not, I don't think.
Okay. And then in terms of the platform, let's say someone's kind of, ordered a pack of articles. How does kind of feedback and kind of reviews or edits work?
So yeah, it works very systematically. So if you've got a problem with any of the lines in your order, you'll have like a little button next to each one to kind of request that it's changed or to say you don't like it. We do have a no questions asked refund policy. So no matter what you order, no matter what the problem is, we'll just refund. No questions asked. We also have, like for our link building, for example, a lifetime guarantee on all those as well. So if the link goes down in 10 years time, you can come back, email us and we'll just change it. So we've got that as well.
In terms of pricing and packages now, is that, because I saw on your site, you've got kind of quite a lot of stuff going on. Is that an even spread of revenue, or are there, certain units of those that take up, a disproportionate share?
Yeah. So I think link building, backlinks, obviously is one of our biggest markets. Probably, 60% of our revenue goes backlinks, link building, that kind of thing. Just because I think the demand of it is growing now as well with AI, with getting listed in AI answers and that kind of thing. Everyone's kind of realizing, okay, it's SEO as usual, but now there's even this extra element of, okay, we need brand mentions and we need to get our, we need to get more links. Digital PR has been quite a big one for us, because I don't really class that as a link building service. It's more of it's just PR, and then we've got content, which is getting smaller and smaller, because I think people are just, with content now, people are just doing it themselves with AI, and, they're not willing to invest huge amounts into it. But yeah, I'd say link building is taking the lion's share of it.
Okay. And, once someone comes in on one service, let's say it's link building, do you have a process for kind of upselling and cross-selling other stuff? And is there kind of a, post-purchase journey, if you will?
So we don't have any clever process. Obviously, I think that we could lend some ideas from the ecom world, because I know the ecom world and the Shopify plugins are amazing. Where if customer buys product A, 2 weeks later send an email promoting product B with a discount. We want to get into all that stuff, but right now we do it very primitively. We do it really simple, where, customer signs up and they buy links or whatever they buy.
Mhm.
They're just on our mailing list. And on our mailing list, we send out free emails every week. And they're just about different products and different ideas and different strategies. So they get exposed to all of the different things FatJoe do naturally. There's nothing systematic in there at the minute.
Okay, so there's kind of like campaign newsletters that go out, but no flows.
No flows at the minute now.
Okay. The other thing that I know a lot of the kind of e-com guys are focused on at the minute is boosting AOV. And my question here is around kind of, cart bumps or kind of cheeky add-ons. I'm thinking kind of like faster turnaround times. Do you do stuff like that to boost your kind of average order values?
Yeah, so the biggest things that we do right now is we can increase the length of the articles that we write for link building especially. So we've got a standard like 400 words, and then they can double it to 1,000. That's a popular one that people like to do. We don't really push it, but it's just a little add-on that people can click. And then we've got express delivery, which we add on a premium if they want to get it in 14 days rather than 30 days. And that's been great for us because, a lot of people want it faster, obviously, but it doesn't really cost us anything to deliver it faster. We just have to rearrange our order book. So it's been a good one for us to add.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And then in terms of recurring revenue versus fresh client wins, what does that kind of split look like, and what side of that are you focused on the most trying to grow?
Yeah, so most of our revenue is obviously not recurring because it is recurring, but they're not locked into anything. So we get customers to come back and order every month.
I should phrase that question. Sorry, Joe. It should be what share of your revenue is repeat versus kind of new?
Okay. Yeah, so we get about 70% of customers repeat every month. A lot of our services are, because anyone can come in and order a service. Mm-hmm. We do see like a higher number of people just trying it once and then not coming back, because it's just such a low barrier to entry. Yep. So I'd say that, if you remove those guys, the 70% might be a bit higher. Mm-hmm. Around 70% reorder every month.
Wow. Okay. Are you doing anything like on the concierge team side of like, maybe for those first time purchasers, because if you can get them, locked in second, third time, they're probably likely to stay for longer. Are you doing anything to kind of work on that?
Nothing systematic. So we do have a concierge team. We do have like client success. But at the moment it's quite, I'd probably say it's like manual, where they are going in and looking through who are our biggest customers this month. Okay, let's email them and see if they need a hand, or let's email them and see if they know about this product or that service, or let's just introduce myself. So it's very, very, very manual, which I think is okay for now. But like I say, I think there's loads of stuff from the e-com world that we could get ideas from to make that a bit more systematic.
Okay. In terms of pricing, so again, kind of, running a traditional retainer model, you always get pushback, can I do a split pay? Can I get 10% off if I do this or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you do anything on pricing? Obviously, you've got the kind of price listed on site. Does that ever change?
So we've got our price listed on the website, and we don't give any discounts, or we don't give any, there's no like negotiation on it. So the price is what it is. We do run discounts now and then, like for Black Friday and that kind of thing, but little special occasions. The only way a customer can get a discount is if they sign up to our subscribe and save program. So we have a program where customers can subscribe to credits. So if they subscribe to the minimum is £2,500 worth of credit. Once they subscribe, they get 10% account level discount. So if they know they're going to be spending more than $2,500 grand a month, it makes sense for them to subscribe. Yeah. So we get like a bit of commitment, and then in return we give them the 10% discount. So they get nothing on the products, but if they subscribe to the credits, then they get the 10% discount on everything. So that's kind of the way we do it.
Okay. I want to shift lanes now and talk about the kind of upside. So I think I saw something, you have kind of 15 full-time people It's almost like one person per kind of, $1 million in revenue. Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think it might be a bit more than 15 now. Probably 18, maybe. Because we do have we have a Spanish office as well. But yeah, we have a low amount of stuff.
okay. What does that kind of org chart look like? Like, where are these people sat in terms of function?
So we've got three mini businesses in FatJoe, and that would be the development team, which is a team of four people. So that they're really just focused on the app and the dashboard and making sure that the checkout works, and the website as well. Then we have the marketing team, which is four or five people. They're looking at the ads, email, social, any content, SEO, that kind of thing. And then we have the support team, which are support / client success team, which are looking after the customers if they've got any problems. They're doing anything in the system that needs reports or changes, refunding customers or changing customers' links, replacing customers' links. And then the client success team are just, talking to the customers as needed. Just like free lots.
Okay. And then, yeah, in terms of the kind of the contracted team or what you hire on a per project basis, what kind of roles are you looking for there?
So a big outreach team. We need to make connections with lots and lots of publishers. We're doing 4,000, 5,000 links every month. So we need a lot of publishers to fulfill that. So the outreach team, they're contracted, so we can hire more and more as needed. We have a team of 50 writers right now. So the writing team are all plugged into our system, and they just get as much work as they want when they want it. So they can just log in and go, okay, I want to work Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday next week, and I want 4 articles each day. And the week after I want this, and the week after I want this. So it's very flexible for them, but also it's very nice for us because we can distribute the work very nicely across all the writers. We can hire more if needed. We can reduce work if needed. And then we have designers in there too, video people. We have QC team in there that are checking backlinks, making sure checking backlinks, also checking content, checking video, checking everything. So yeah, writers, outreach team, designers, video people.
Okay. Yeah. That QC team is also contracted, is it?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The reason we put that as contracted is because we realized that actually as our orders grow, so will the QC grow like actually the same. So it makes sense to have someone or to have a process where that can grow, that QC team.
Okay. I can imagine trying to kind of like HR manage that would be a complete nightmare. Do you have any tips for kind of project managing this and how much of this is kind of automated and kind of done automatically?
So the only way that I think it's manageable at this scale is if each person only does one job over and over again. So if you give any one person scope that is like wider than just one task, and one task I mean, okay, write an article that's 500 words or 1,000 words, design infographic that's this big or that big, do a 3-minute video or a 5-minute video, be an outreach person, do a QC. Their SOP should be like 1 or 2 pages, and it should be, this is your job over and over and over and over again, as many times as you want to do it, and we pay you X every time you do it. The reason for that is it's very binary if they're doing a good job or not. It's very binary if they've completed it or not. Once you give someone a job which is very more nuanced, then it's harder to kind of like talk about that. So we like to keep it very, very binary, and yes or no, did they do it? Yes or no, is it a good job? And then it becomes an easy conversation about, okay, the only problem we'd ever have is, are they late or did they not deliver it? There's no other HR problems we can have.
Okay. And then in terms of kind of allocating the workout, seeing who wants to work what kind of hours this week, how does that happen? Is that just built into the platform?
So that's built into the platform. So for the most part, the writers especially, they've got their own platform where they can choose, like, from a calendar what days they want to work, and also the amount they want to work each day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think you said before, like, if demand spiked, you could hire 2x, or you could take on 2x amount of work next month. How are
Yeah.
you able to do that so quickly in terms of servicing that?
So because we've got a really detailed SOP and a very scalable way of hiring too, we can put a job ad out on, Indeed or LinkedIn. We can sponsor it. We can put some budget into it. So it hits a lot of writers or a lot of potential writers. Once they've applied, it'll go through an automated testing process where they can do a test of a piece of content. Our QC person will then review that piece of content, if it's good or not, and then accept them into the system. So that's a very quick process. It's just like someone completing an order. The QC person just has to know if they've read the instructions or not. And from because earlier what I was talking about, where their job is just a very simple task, yes or no, did they do it? It becomes very easy to onboard them, because it's like, okay, this is what you're going to be doing 8 times a day, or 10 times a day, or however many times a day. So yeah, it's not unheard of that we could hire like 10, 20, 30 writers in a few days, just because
Wow.
they click apply,
Yeah.
and they can already just do the test. And then if they pass the test, our QC guy says, yes, okay, sign up to the system.
Okay. And do you do kind of a training or onboarding for new people, or people in the business?
So for contractors, their training is basically tests of what they'll be doing. So we don't let them loose onto client work for maybe 4 or 5 tests, or
Mhm.
10 tests, depending on the skill level. If it's content, there's only like 3 or 4 tests needed, because once they've got it 3 or 4 times, it becomes very, very easy. Not easy to write, but the process is easy for them. In terms of our in-house staff, obviously,
Yeah.
they are complicated roles, so
Yeah.
there's lots of onboarding, lots of kind of initiations first.
Okay. In terms of those kind of contracting tests, or tests for the contractor, sorry, is that very much like a binary decision of, like, this is the pass rate, you either, have got it and we're going to push you for more, and you're going to go into client work, and, sorry, this isn't a good fit, goodbye, if they.
Yeah, usually you can really tell, because if someone's a good writer, but they haven't quite got the instruction correct, we can kind of coach that person, because we just go, okay, this is actually a good piece of content, but we actually said we needed an image and we needed 3 links, and the content can't be promotional. They may have got a few things wrong,
Mhm.
but you can coach that kind of thing. If someone comes in and they're using AI to write the whole piece of content, they've got bad grammar, they haven't understood it at all, they're copying other articles off the internet, it's easy just to say no to. And, a lot of the applications, unfortunately, are easy to say no to.
Okay. But you will give feedback and essentially coach some of the people that are in the middle ground.
Yeah, because I mean, the good writing part is the hard part. I think if someone's missed a couple of instructions, we can just coach that. It is odd, I think, for a writer to come into the SEO world, because
Yeah.
they kind of think we want to write really good articles for the sake of it,
Yeah.
but we actually want to include the links, and we want the links to be natural. We want the titles to be good. We want some good pictures. So they're like, I don't understand why you want all this, but okay, I'll do.
Okay. In terms of the QC, is that kind of, every bit of work is being signed off on and kind of checked, or is it just kind of random spot checks? And I guess where I'm coming from with this is, if you're scaling rapidly, do you still have the time to kind of QC at a super high level?
Well, because we're QCing with contractors, and we can expand that network
Mhm.
very easily as well. Every backlink is being checked by a QC. With content writing, because there's less nuance, and because it's more about just the piece of content rather than like, hey, the links inserted and what kind of website it's on and that kind of thing. They're spot checked rather than every single one. So yeah, it's a bit of both.
Okay. I want to talk now about sales and kind of your process. Obviously, you're not taking sales calls with everyone. I think it's just, if people have questions, they can kind of book in some time, right?
Yeah.
The first question I've got here is, do you think that's hurting kind of revenue? And do you think if you kind of, had to book a call now underneath a VSL, you'd kind of generate way more cash? Obviously, you could kind of upsell on the call and kind of do all that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, I'm just trying to also understand your thinking behind not having like a traditional sales team.
Yeah. So in the past 2 years, we have added book a call on sales pages. So we do have book a call, but and that was, I mean, I had to be persuaded for that. I really don't want it.
Why?
But I just don't. I don't like sales, and I don't like the idea of it. And also, going back to earlier, like, I feel like it's a failure if someone needs to call before buy, because of the kind of service that we sell. I think people should just buy it. Because as well, to buy a unit or to try us, it's not that expensive. You can buy one and try it and see what happens. But some people like to get on the phone, and I can understand that. And some of the bigger agencies, actually, they really need to see that they're dealing with some real serious people. So I totally get the value in these calls, but we never wanted to call it a sales team, and that they're not a sales team. They actually spend a lot of time telling people it's not for them. So we get a lot of business owners who come on and that they want a strategy and they want someone to tell them exactly how to do their SEO, and they want people to change their websites. So we have to say, look, you need to go to an agency, you need to go to a SEO consultant. So the client the client success team are there to guide someone into the right service or the right package or in the right quantity, or guide people away to a consultant or to an SEO agency.
Okay. Two things that have kind of stood out for me there as you were kind of speaking. One is like the disqualification in the sales process. I think that's pretty rare, right? Most agencies are just like, you want to pay me, like, let's try and upsell you, right? And then the second thing is, it seems like your kind of first principle when building the business is your kind of vision and what you want out of the business, rather than just, chasing cash because, building a sales team might make you more money. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I think what it comes down to as well is like looking at the greater good. So for us, like, we could upsell someone who don't know what they're doing. Yeah. We could say to them, yeah, just order some links. Your website will be fine. But actually, it's going to cause us more problems down the line. If that customer complains, that customer doesn't know what's happened, he wants a refund, he leaves a bad review on Trustpilot. Yeah. All of these things can like compound into like really big reputation issues, I think. Whereas if we're telling a customer honestly, look, we don't think you're the right fit, use one of these agencies. And also bear in mind, we actually have a few agencies that we partner with that we tell them, look, if anyone needs consultancy, we're going to pass them to you. That agency actually uses FatJoe for their backlinks, so we kind of win that way anyway as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sales team are kind of like, or not the sales team, the client success team are just kind of there to be a concierge and just to say, okay, yeah, this way if you need this, or someone else if you need someone else.
Can you kind of unpack the word concierge and what you see that call? Like, how do you structure those calls, or how do you like your client success team to structure those calls?
So they essentially just ask the potential client what it is they're looking for, what their current situation is. And usually if it's an agency owner, their problem is more around, they want a consistent provider. They want a partner to make them look good, to their clients. So they're not really asking questions about SEO or strategy. They're asking questions about, okay, are your links guaranteed to, stay up and not go down? Have they got a certain DR level? What's the traffic like? Can I see some examples? How fast can you do them? They're asking these kind of questions. Whereas that's quite an easy call because our client success team will guide them through the website, show them examples, show them how easy it is to order, show them the dashboard, and then it's just a case of that end potential client just going, okay, I'll give it a try. Whereas the other kind of customer will come on and they're kind of like, I've got a business and we need more customers, and we're thinking about SEO and we're not sure, what we need, and we don't know what a backlink is or what DR is, but can you tell us? And then the call becomes very much about, okay, you've ended up on our website, which is great, but you actually need to go to an SEO consultant, and they're going to tell you everything you need.
Okay, so because you've got the sophisticated buyer in the kind of the first category, it's more of like a addressing technical questions call rather than like a sales pitch or quote.
There's no sales pitch. We're not really our client success team are not motivated by the spend of the client, because we don't do commission that way, because I think it does incentivize that kind of culture of like Wall Street. Let's get them as much as possible, even if they're not ready to. So they're commissioned just on, are they a customer, yes or no? Did they become a customer, yes or no? So whether they spend £40 or £40,000, it's just yes or no. So that, I think that builds a culture of, let's just get the right people in rather than, the wrong people.
Do you think you could go kind of the full SaaS or kind of tech hog and just have like a chatbot on site to kind of answer some of these questions? Because it seems like, I don't want to say basic questions, right? But it's very like you could just have a list of answers and, people could ask questions and you get it sorted. Would that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could, but I think the people that like a phone call are always going to want a phone call with a human, and even if that's like an AI phone call, or they're coming up with these avatars as well that can do sales calls and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think that there's just a type of client or a type of ICP that really love just speaking to a person, and I think that's never going to go away. So to me, like the idea that you just described would be perfect, but we kind of had it with the website, like the web page. If you're on link building web page, you can see the prices, examples, you can see the FAQs, you can see example reports, you can see turnaround times. There should be absolutely no reason for a phone call, but the reason why they do want a phone call is just to make sure, well, are these guys real? Are these guys like, actually do it?
Okay. And then kind of, putting the cart before the horse and talking more about kind of lead gen now. What does that lead gen mix look like for you today? And I think I've seen kind of Google ads, Facebook ads, referrals, obviously, as big ones. But what does that mix look like?
Yeah, so we've always been really big on Google ads. I've always loved Google ads, like all through my marketing career, really, because I just love the idea of it. Like, someone is searching for something that you sell, and you can just be there. And if you've got the right page and the right funnel, and it's like a machine that prints money. So we've always been really big on that, and that's probably like 60% of our marketing spend is on that. And I think we're probably quite inefficient with it as well. Like, obviously we've got loads of brand clicks in that as well, which I don't mind. I want to show up for the brand. We've got loads of repeat customers who may be shopping around, and they find us again through Google Ads. So I just like that. I like that marketing channel. We've also got meta ads, which we haven't cracked yet fully. So we're still trying with that. And then we do a lot of, for lack of a better word, branding. So we're just trying to be as loud as possible on LinkedIn and Instagram and wherever, and YouTube, wherever we possibly can. And we're just trying to be, if you've read the book Purple Cow, like, we're just trying to be the weirdest, like, just, you have to stop and look and think, what the hell is going on there? We're trying to do that with LinkedIn, and I think that's helping, because we're just getting people just follow us and, want to kind of connect with us. So they're the kind of three different channels at the moment.
Okay. In terms of your kind of agency network, I know you've got the big school group and probably, email lists and kind of other stuff there. What has been the best way for you to kind of build a name for yourself, I guess, in that space?
So as a FatJoe the brand,
Yeah.
um, I think organically it's just been kind of daily posting.
Okay. So just organic content.
Yeah, just showing
Yeah.
up every day. But we do cheat because we do a hell of a lot of paid ads as well. And I think people miss out. Google Ads. People miss the point of Google Ads, or one of the points of Google Ads, that it's a huge branding exercise as well. People just look at the ROAS and go, "Oh, it's not very profitable." But
Hmm.
your brand's showing up every time someone's thinking about a keyword of something
Yep.
you're selling. Even if they don't click it, they see it. It's like the huge. We do that all the time, so we've got that advantage.
Okay. And then have events been super useful for you or no?
We don't know. We keep trying to be clever and use little special URLs and get all the customers' emails and then check again 3 months later to see who's ordered.
Yep.
If I look on paper, I would say that we barely break even on events. Yeah, I'll speak to some of our competitors or maybe adjacent competitors that are not real competitors, but
Mhm.
they'll talk to us about things. They tell me that events are their biggest driver of leads, and we don't see it. But we again, just going back to the being everywhere all the time, we just want to be at all the big events and we want to show our face and we want to have the logo there. Um, we don't know we don't know really if it works or not for us.
Okay. But you kind of see events as a branding exercise.
Yeah. Put it down to branding. We just assign a budget to it
Yeah.
as a percentage of revenue, and we just try and spend it all. And if we look at the numbers of the ROI, we get very sad. But if we just look at it as okay, we spend that because we had to.
Yeah.
We kind of we just do it every year.
Okay. And do you have a specific game plan for events? Like, are you kind of speaking on stage? Do you get a booth? Like, what is the kind of setup?
So most of the time we just do a booth, or if there's some other kind of light sponsorship goodie bags or branding on the stage, that kind of thing. I don't do any. I haven't done any talks. I might do a few this year. But yeah, we've not really done anything like that.
Okay. I want to talk now about ads. So yeah, you kind of mentioned, how you like Google Ads. What would you say are the main kind of keys to success, and what are the kind of offers that you're putting in front of that traffic that comes in?
Yeah, so with Google Ads, it's been very simple for us because we are selling like a specific thing or a group of things. So if people are typing in link building service or digital PR service or guest posting service or niche edit service, they've got to only be wanting that. They're either doing that or they're I don't know, it's a competitor just checking if they're in the ad or whatever. There's no doubt about it that they are looking for a niche edit service or a blogger outreach service. So then it's a case of, okay, when they click, obviously have a good ad. I think a good ad is going to get you the click. Put the price in the ad. It's a nice qualifier. Put your turnaround time in the ad. It's a nice bit of benefit. Maybe some reviews, social proof, that kind of thing. But once they click the ad, the success of most ads is done on the website, because if you've got a really bad website, bad conversion, you could have the best ads in the world and the best strategy in the world, but you're not going to make it work. So once they get to the website, does the page clearly explain what you're selling, the benefits or the features? If you're B2B, it's probably feature led is probably better than benefits led. I think I do see this mistake a lot in B2B
Yeah.
where people try and make the consumer feel something.
Yeah.
And it's in B2B, you're not trying to make them feel something. You're trying to make them, will it make them money? Will it make their jobs easier? That's what you got to kind of communicate. And with us, it was just a case of, are we just giving them all the information? Is there examples? Are we making it easy to order? Is it easy to trust us? Have we got live chat, phone numbers and that kind of thing? So that was it basically. But I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from Google Ads was I used to try and make money on the sale.
Mhm.
So when I saw my ROAS was negative, I'd be like, oh, I need to bid less. When it, and then I couldn't even compete in the ads. So when I started looking at lifetime values and going, okay, this customer purchases a link for 40 quid, but on average they spend $5,000 a year. So why don't, and I'm trying to get I'm trying to get a customer for like 10 quid to make back something on the 40 quid. But when I realized they spend $5,000 a year, then I could spend £1,000 to get a customer. So it's like that mindset shift. I was like, okay, now I'm always number one. Now I'm getting all the clicks. So that was kind of the mindset shift.
What advice would you have for someone trying to make that mindset shift? Is it kind of like allocate a percentage of spend to kind of a marketing budget, or kind of like how do you keep spending when your ROAS is negative in the platform?
So it helps if you've been around for a while to know what your LTV is. But if you're brand new, I would always spend like no more than 10% of last month's revenue. But if you're really, really brand new, then it's just how much money have you got in your bank that you can afford to experiment with. But yeah, we all, when we first started, we were just kind of looking at it as like, okay, last month we made this much, we're going to get 10% of that and experiment on ads.
Okay, but if you have the LTV data broken out by source, are you just comparing it against that? So it cost me this much, but I know the LTV is this, and therefore, I'll up the budget or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've not really gone as granular as that. We've had a few paid ads people take over since I used to do it, and they might go a lot deeper than I was. But I used to get the LTV of any source, just any source, wherever they come from. Doesn't matter what is our company LTV, and then I use that as like I can now afford to spend 20% of that to get a customer. That was kind of what my thinking.
Okay, and are you running any offers, for these people that come in from any kind of bundle or kind of special, or is it just literally like here's the collection page, here's what we've got?
Yeah, so we just send them to collection page. We have thought about doing things like that, like the ecom people do. Also, we thought about quiz funnels, and we've thought about all kinds of stuff that we just haven't got to yet. But yeah, so far we just send them to like this. So the service page that everyone sees, if they've come through or whatever, it just because it's set up for conversions quite well.
Okay, nice. I want to talk now about kind of referrals. Is that a big one for you, or is it not in the kind of top 3 to 5?
Not really in the top ones. We do have an affiliate program, which is kind of referrals don't really happen to us because it's agency clients aren't really recommending their competitors to use us as well. So it's kind of a weird one. But our affiliate program does okay. It does okay, but it's hard to find really good affiliates these days. I think you can get 1 or 2 really good ones, but then it's hard to find like the old days where there's lots and lots of affiliates doing SEO and YouTube and stuff. You just can't find them anymore.
Okay. And then I think I saw that you've built tools before that have been a great source of lead gen.
Yeah.
I think Neil Patel recently acquired like a SaaS platform that was adjacent to his agency, and it fed a huge amount of deal flow.
Yeah.
Can you just talk through your kind of experience doing stuff like that?
Yeah. So when we first started, we created a Chrome extension called FatRank, and it was dead simple. Whatever website you was on in Chrome, you could click FatRank, type in a keyword, and it would tell you where it ranked in Google. So it was like, I was surprised that no one had ever done it before, really. But it was just a dead simple tool, really lightweight. Didn't cost us anything because it ran on the user's machine. And I think it's got like 50,000 users, monthly users. So it got that really quickly just because it got shared a lot by the SEO community. And obviously those all go into our mailing list that we don't do anything special with. We just send them, hey, we're FatJoe and we do this and we do this. So we've got a fair few customers from that.
Nice. Okay. And is this something you'd look at on an ongoing basis of like building other tools, or is that just kind of, focus on ads and, these other channels is the better way?
We've tried to. I think you have to have a really good idea, and I think it has to really stick and it has to really click. I mean, building a tool is like a business in itself because even if it's free, you have to support it and it has to be good. Like a lot of people, just think you can make a tool and that's it, you've done your marketing, but it actually has to be good. It has to catch fire. You have to market it. You have to get customers, even though they might be free. So we have tried to replicate it a few times, but we've never succeeded as much as the first time. We've obviously got like little things on our website, like Instagram post generator, and
Yeah.
there's a few things on our website which generate loads of links and loads of traffic, but nothing like that very first one, which really popped off and did some marketing. So I think you have to really kind of think about it and sit there and think, this is going to be a new business for us. It's just going to be a lead gen business, but it is going to be a business.
Okay. I want to shift gears again now and talk about you and kind of what your role is. So the first question here is, in terms of the C-suite team or the senior kind of leaders in a business, I know you've got a co-founder as well, but how do you guys kind of sit across the top and what are your responsibilities?
Yeah, so I'm acting as CEO, and I really, we say these words like CEO and that, but I don't actually really know what that means or what that entails. But as a CEO in our version, I'm looking at the vision and the direction of the business and new products and new opportunities. I'm kind of dipping into marketing a little bit, like, marketing campaigns and that kind of thing. But in general, it's the vision of the company and the direction of the company. We have our co-founder. He is running tech side. So he's mainly in charge of like, what does the product look like? Maybe you could call it head of product, but what does the product as a tech platform look like? How people order, the website, the processes that go on behind the scenes, the admin side, that kind of thing. So the machine that runs it.
So he's like the CTO.
I'd call it a CTO or CPO if it's the
Okay.
like, you look at it from product point of view. Not technical in any way, but kind of commercial minded. So it's we have a tech team that deal with the tech stuff, but then he's leading the kind of decisions that are made.
So just to clarify, is that two non-technical co-founders?
Yes. Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No tech at all. Yeah. And then we have our head of operations, which is Emily, and she's running the day-to-day. So connecting teams together, running projects, any problems, sorting them out. If I've got an idea, I'll tell her, and then she makes it happen. So yeah, she's like operations, pretty much running the show on the ground.
Okay. And in terms of your day-to-day, what does that kind of look like?
So it's a little bit different every day, but I'm spending a lot of time on like personal brand stuff, like posting on LinkedIn. I'm dipping into like different departments every day. But I try and kind of have a theme of a day. Like, so Monday would be focusing on tech. Tuesday would be focused on marketing. Wednesday would be focusing on operations, admin, support, client success, that kind of thing. Thursday would then be focusing on product, services, new service ideas or improving old ones. And then Friday would be, experimenting with new stuff. So try and have some themes of the day, and I'll dip in and try and improve something incrementally each day. But I do have time because of our head of operations. I do have time to kind of sit back and think and kind of like think about the vision, research, test stuff, experiment with stuff. So I'm always like testing new vendors and new providers. So I'm scouting for new services. Instead of us coming up with new service ideas, there are talented people out there on the internet that are already serving people with a really, small audience. And I might think that would be a great FatJoe product, can speak to them, bring them into our ecosystem. They get more customers. We get a built-in operator for that service. So I spend a lot of time looking for vendors as well.
Okay. And your calendar, what does that look like?
I try and keep it empty. Like I said, I hate calls. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't really like meetings. So yeah, it's pretty empty.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any recurring meetings.
And was that, from when you started the business 12, 13 years ago, was that the complete opposite and you're kind of in all the weeds fighting fires with clients and you've kind of shifted your life deliberately in this kind of direction?
Yeah, I think I went a bit too far with it. But yeah, like in the ancient days, we were in 2 hour, 3 hour meetings with clients nearly every day. We would get, my phone was an open line to clients. So I'd just get phone calls and to go, "Hey, it's John, what's happening with my rankings?" And I'd have to speak about it and get on the phone. I just hated the way that it was so open and the way that meetings could just happen like that. So kind of like made a conscious decision to run it as no meetings.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned there kind of, spending your days looking at different departments and how to improve stuff. How do you know what to kind of focus on or maybe also like what not to focus on? And also like if you are working on a project to kind of take it through to completion versus, bin it off if it's not kind of going in the right way. How are you evaluating that?
So the way that we look at potential product projects is like every quarter we may have like a list of potential projects we can do, campaigns, and obviously we'll score them by, okay, how much profit will this make? How much time will this save? How much money will this save? How easy will it be? And then we'll give it a score, and then we'll prioritize them. If we're running a project or we're starting a SERP, like projects usually get finished. Like that's it's rare that we start projects and then we kind of say halfway through, oh, let's not finish this. But what we do get when we come up with service ideas and we go through it and we run a few tests, we put it on the website, we run it to a smaller audience than a wider audience. There's been many times where we've pulled the product because it hasn't worked, or we get problems with it, so we just pull it.
In terms of kind of making that decision, if you've launched a new product, is that kind of, negative feedback, problems with process, is that how you're kind of judging that as a success or failure?
Yeah, so it'd either be negative feedback or admin team are really having a hard time like dealing with those orders. We might get lots of different customer requests for it. Customer expectations might be wrong. Or more likely, sometimes it's the revenue just isn't there, so it just isn't worth it for us. It doesn't earn its keep.
Okay, so you're like testing demand as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As CEO, what are the kind of metrics that you look at to, maybe as your scorecard or to judge the business's success?
So we have a metrics spreadsheet that everyone has to put their numbers in. It's probably it must have about 100 different metrics on it that each team member goes in and manually have to put in their number, whether it's traffic, number of emails sent, email revenue, organic revenue, net profit, gross profit on service X, gross profit on service Z. It's like there's so many numbers in there. But the main one I'm looking at is the absolute holy grail for me is new customer number. So the amount of new customers we get, and then I'm looking at the overall cost per acquisition. So how much did we spend in marketing, including the marketing team, client success team, ads, events, that kind of thing, and then how many customers do you get, and then what is that number? I want that to be below a certain range, but I also want the new customer number to be growing every month as well. Mm-hmm. I look at that more than retention because I think retention is mostly going to be done by delivering a good service, and there may be a time where I need to look at how well we deliver a service. But our ratings for our services at the moment are between 4 and 5 out of 5. So when that drops to like less than 4, then I might look at that as a main KPI. But the main KPI right now, is just like growth of customers.
Okay. And in terms of that kind of rating, is that just, are we talking Trustpilot rating, or are you kind of like interviewing, customers and taking NPS scores and kind of all that stuff?
So we've got an internal rating system so that whenever someone opens a report in the system and then they leave that report, it will just come up and say, how would you rate that order? Mm-hmm. And we rate it on quality, speed, and value for money. So we're aiming for between 4 and 5 on everything, and we're hitting that at the moment.
Nice.
Some of the services are like 4.7, 4.8.
Wow.
But because we're rating on quality, value for money, and speed, we can kind of see from a very high view, like if one drops below 4, we know what the problem is. Like if it's speed, okay, we've got a capacity problem.
Yeah.
If it's quality, okay, we've got a QC problem. If it's value for money, are we too expensive? Do we need to lower the price? So there's a few levers we can pull depending on the results.
Okay. And then in terms of kind of forecasting and business wide, targets for kind of, net profit margin and kind of growth, what do you look at, or what do you like to see there?
So we want to see like a 20% growth in a
Mhm.
year. Like it's quite ambitious, but we want to see 20% growth in a year. And, it has been for the past few years. It's like the past year was over 20.
Nice.
Previous to that, it's been like an average of 10 to 15, but 20% is a good target for us. And in terms of like net profit, we really want to get over 30% at the bottom line. And I think and we normally get to that depending on what season we're in. I
Yeah.
think you can't be in two seasons. So like you're either in a season of growth or a season of like efficiency. And I think if we're in a season of growth, then we've got to sacrifice that net profit because we're spending more on ads or we're spending more on events or whatever.
And how long would you spend in a season of growth? Is this like an annual plan of we want to, blow up this year? Is it annual, or how do you view that?
Yeah, annually.
Okay.
I think because I think it's too in a year you've got enough time to kind of really give it everything, because you might take Q1 just ramping up, just setting things up, and then it's not until Q3 you've really got
Yeah.
everything in motion. So I think it needs a year.
Okay. Looking ahead to the future now, what is the kind of end goal for you guys? Like, what do you want to do next?
So we just want to keep growing. We just want to keep doing what we're doing. We're really excited by the SEO industry, but we're also excited by how AI is changing things as well. AI visibility. We're excited to serve agencies and marketing teams with deliverables that they might need, make their lives easier. Whatever it is that they need, we hope that in some way we can productize it and sell it to them and make their lives easier. So, we see like a really long-term future with a productized model like FatJoe.
Yeah.
The end goal, I think we want to get more and more into like automations and make things quicker and cheaper and easier and faster for customers. But we want to keep the customer side, we want to keep the human side. So we just want to keep going, doing what we do.
Nice. Okay. Very interesting. So just keep growing, keep learning the industry and scaling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Joe, thank you so much for kind of coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned a ton, and I'm sure everyone listening has too. For people that want to kind of, follow you, maybe learn more about FatJoe and kind of work with you, what should they do? Where can they find you? And yeah, how does that work?
Yeah. So you can go to fatjoe.com to go direct to FatJoe, or you can find me on LinkedIn. You can DM me on there, or you can just follow me and see what I'm posting about. And that's it really.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.